My entitled stepdaughter sold my family heirloom jacket behind my back, so I sold her birthday present and made her cry. Although my wife and I have a mostly beautiful relationship, there is one topic we have never seen eye to eye on, and that's my stepdaughter Lacey. I have tried bonding with her and getting closer to her. But this has never worked, however, as Lacey's mother has raised her in such a spoiled manner, that Lacey is now an entitled teenager who demands everything goes her way and refuses to take no for an answer. She has been suspended from school for bullying a much poorer kid in her class previously. When I pressed her about it and tried to explain how wrong it was to verbally ridicule him in front of the whole class, she literally refused to accept that she was in the wrong. Her mother then stepped in defending her, telling me, "You're not her dad, don't act like it." She then proceeded to take Lacey upstairs and they had a talk, but I'm not sure about what. All I know is Lacey is yet to admit that she was in the wrong. This is just one example of her entitlement. She is now 16 years old and seems to get more spoiled every year. I have tried carefully broaching this subject with her mother, but I seem to get shot down every time. This behavior has definitely strained my relationship with Lacey. Well, my relationship with her, which was already not as good as it could be, went completely south last week. So last week was her birthday, and her mother and I got her the latest iPhone like she wanted. I got a lukewarm thanks off her, and her mother and her went to celebrate by themselves for the entire day. This kind of hurt. I was the one who paid for that iPhone and I get excluded. But that wasn't the real kicker. The real kicker happened when they came home in the evening. They both sat me down and went on to explain that they needed to talk with me. My wife opened up by saying she feels that I'm being way too cheap in regards to my allowance with Lacey. She said that the $75 a week that I give her was way too little for someone of her age and that I can definitely afford to double her allowance. I asked Lacey if she was willing to do chores around the house or cook dinner every now and then for her mother and I in order to increase her allowance, and Lacey said no. She shouldn't have to. She should simply get the higher allowance because she is 16 now. I told her that's not how the world works, and that's when her mother jumped in, giving out to me and literally claiming that this is proof I don't care about Lacey. I got mad at that, so I asked Lacey, "Who do you think bought you that new phone?" And she replied, "It was my birthday, that's the bare minimum." I responded, "You know, my parents were dirt poor and we didn't celebrate birthdays. The only thing they gave me was a roof over my head and something to eat before bed each night. That's the bare minimum." She then responded saying my parents should have tried harder in life. I saw red, and I was about to verbally go off on them both, but I restrained myself and told them I was going upstairs. While leaving, my wife tried to ask me about the allowance, and I yelled that the answer was no. I feel bad for yelling, but I was so angry in the moment. That all happened last week, and for the next few days the atmosphere in the house was very tense. My wife and Lacey did not talk to me much, and vice versa. Well, this morning I woke up and I felt a compelling urge to go to a Christmas market as they had just opened up. I love going to these things. Lacey and my wife do not, so I figured I would go by myself. I got ready and went to put on my jacket. A jacket I only wear during the winter time and very rarely. A jacket passed down to me by my father, a jacket that is 5 generations old. It is made with high quality materials, real fur and leather, absolutely enormous. It probably has a market value of around $900, $1,000, but to me it is priceless. After spending a lot of time trying to find this jacket and being unable to, I decided to ask my wife if she had seen it. My wife reluctantly said no at first, but she hesitated before answering. I asked her again, she hesitated again and said no, then immediately tried changing the subject. Something was fishy here, so I kept pressing. She finally cracked when I threatened to go leave the house for a few days. She admitted that Lacey, being furious with me after I told her no to her allowance request, decided to sell my jacket and keep the money. I went blind with rage. I asked her first where she sold it, and my wife told me she sold it online and through where. I was irate. I went upstairs to where Lucy was sleeping, but I had no intention of waking her up. I simply took the new phone I got her and put it in my pocket. I then went downstairs to my wife, who kept begging for me not to punish Lucy. I told her not to worry and that I'm not going to DOD anything, and told her I'm heading to the market to clear my head and enjoy my day. And enjoy my day I did. I headed out alone and pawned her new iPhone. I got just over $500 for it, way less than I paid, but I did not care. I then spent the entire 500 big ones on a day to myself. I bought stuff at the markets, I went to a Michelin star restaurant, I went to a spa. I had a great day and came home with $11. Throughout this whole day I kept getting angry messages and calls from Lacey and my wife asking where her phone was, and I told them not to worry. I'll explain everything when I get home. So when I got home I was greeted with them yelling at me, especially Lacey, demanding I give her the phone back. I wish you all could see the look on her face when I told her I pawned it. Priceless. Truly priceless. Her mother started screaming, of course, that I'm a selfish a-hole for doing this. I told them both that this is what they get for selling something priceless to me behind my back. Lacey kept yelling at me that it was just a stupid jacket. I reminded Lacey that things can hold more value to them than their price tag, and she got even more mad. Then I told her that I will also be taking the money she got for selling my jacket and keeping it to myself. She started to cry when I said that and ran upstairs. By this point, her mother was quiet and was sitting at the kitchen table. After Lacey bolted up in tears, I sat down with my wife and we had a long and painful talk. She admitted that what Lacey did was wrong, and she admitted that she spent years parenting her the wrong way. I asked her what she wanted to do and she said we must have a serious talk with Lacey, and I agreed. Lacey has been upstairs the whole evening, and my wife and I plan to talk to her tomorrow. My entitled stepdaughter sold my family heirloom jacket behind my back, so I sold her birthday present and made her cry. So my wife and I had a talk with my stepdaughter Lacey. And it did not go well at all. When I opened it up by saying I apologize for my actions, but she forced my hand, she refused to take any blame. She once again called it a stupid jacket and told me she did not understand how it was worth selling her new phone for. I told her that what she did was basically steal from me, and also told her that her mother is on my side for this one. She looked at her mother and my wife looked at her in a way that confirmed. Lacey played the woe is me card, of course. She blamed my wife for not taking her side. She blamed me for ruining her life. When I asked her how I ruined her life, she told me that without a new phone she will get laughed at by her friend group in school. I told her that if your friends will laugh at you for not having a new phone, they are not your friends. This did not seem to resonate, however. All we got out of this conversation is more tears from Lacey, especially when I told her that she will give me the money that she got for the jacket, and that her mother and I have decided that she will have to start working a part-time job on the weekends if she wants money, as I will no longer give her an allowance. When I said this, her mother tried to chime in telling me, that's a bit too far, but I told her not to do that. I told her that since Lacey is now 16, and so mature, according to herself anyway, she can work a part-time job and start experiencing adulthood. I reminded my wife, in front of Lacey, that this type of treatment and refusal to dish out appropriate consequences is what led to this anyway. My wife agreed. I went on to tell Lacey that I love her, I really do, but her actions have forced my hand, and she needs to learn to face the consequences of severe actions. I told her just because I love her doesn't mean I need to enable everything she does, and if she associated love with allowing someone to act how they want with no consequences, then she isn't as grown as she thinks. The conversation ended up being a few hours long. Lacey has not spoke much since, but I have faith in her. She's a good kid.